exciting day.
Ready?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. I think we're going to start. Volume okay? We're good. I think we're going to start. Thanks, everyone. Thanks a lot for coming today. It's great to have everyone and having so many great people to join us on a very exciting next several months. Butterfly Pavilion today is kicking off Pollinator Palooza, which is a celebration, a 2-month celebration of pollinators and their health and well-being. We're also celebrating the exciting relaunch of PACE initiative. PACE, which is Pollinator Awareness for Conservation and Education, is a hands-on, on-the-ground effort to tackle some of the challenges around pollinator health and pollinator well-being through education and conservation work. And of course, we're very excited to launch a brand new exhibit all around pollinators and see some of the greatest pollinators from all over the world, Pollinator Place. Again, my name is Patrick Tennyson. I'm the president and CEO here. But before we go any further, I really want to acknowledge 2 very special people that joined us today. Congresswoman Brittany Pedersen. And Colorado's first gentleman, Marlon Reis. Thank you both for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
So, Butterfly Pavilion's mission is to foster an appreciation for invertebrate creatures while educating the public about the importance of conserving habitat globally, while conducting research for invertebrate survival. As the only AZA accredited invertebrate zoo, as the only standalone invertebrate zoo accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, it's a great privilege and it's a great honor to lead the rest of the zoological community around invertebrates. However, it's a big undertaking as well and a big responsibility. 97% of all creatures on our planet are invertebrate creatures. That's a huge number. And they're found in every environment. They are the foundation of life as we know it, and they are the thickest thread in our very existence. They are found in every ecosystem and every food web. So they are critically important. So Butterfly Pavilion's commitment as we look forward to our future and as we've looked back on our last 28 years, Butterfly Pavilion's commitment to hands-on education, where people can touch and feel and hold and walk within millions or thousands of butterflies, is an experience that helps alleviate misunderstandings and helps break down the misconceptions of these creatures that are often misunderstood and not appreciated like they should be. So these are the efforts that we do here on site each and every day. And then our conservation work around the world, Tanzania, Nepal, Sumatra, Saudi Arabia. These are just some of the places that Butterfly Pavilion works. And right here in Colorado, we continue to perpetuate conservation and move in pollinator health and invertebrate health forward. Very important work continues to build tremendous momentum that we are seeing and very excited about. Just in April, Butterfly Pavilion, lawmakers celebrated Butterfly Pavilion in both the House and the Senate here in Colorado. And even Rosie the tarantula was brought up on the floor and was celebrated by our lawmakers. So that's very exciting. Another piece that's really exciting that I want to tell you about and introduce to you is that Manitou Springs, working with Butterfly Pavilion, is now our very first certified pollinator district. That means that community made a commitment to pollinator health throughout its entire landscape. So we're very excited. Our team here at Butterfly Pavilion worked with Manitou Springs for several years, over 5, I think. And it led to some very impactful achievements. And it's just the start, because we can do that with all municipalities. Butterfly Pavilion can work with all these municipalities on this effort. So, and then again, right here in talking about momentum, right here within our four walls, Butterfly Pavilion continues to see record attendance and really celebrating our future, and lots of people gathering around that momentum and looking to Butterfly Pavilion for pollinator health and well-being in the future. So these are the exciting things that we can't tell enough people about. And we're super excited all of you are here to join with us today and be a part of this. So with that said, I thank you for being here. I want to bring up Dr. Rich Reading, our Vice President of Science and Conservation.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick, and thank you all for being here, especially our esteemed colleagues over here. And I want to start with some sobering news. We are in the midst of a sixth mass extinction on this Earth's planet, on our planet Earth. And this one is different than the rest in that it's caused by one of nature's own, people. And unfortunately, insects are not spared this. Invertebrates are not spared this loss. And we're in what some people call the insect apocalypse. We're losing insects at an alarming rate. Some people believe that we have lost 45% of the pollinators that formerly existed on our planet before the last couple centuries. So this is very sobering indeed. And that's because these insects are crucially important to our environment. They're the little things, the foundations of the planet. They're the things that create the soils that we grow our crops in. They purify the water that we drink. They pollinate the food we eat. One out of every 3 bites of food we can thank a pollinator for. So, and these are some of the best, as Amy Yargo, who's about to speak next, will tell you, these are some of the best bites of food. Things like chocolate, things like coffee. These are great things, things that we'd be really, really sad to be without. The esteemed entomologist and conservation biologist E.O. Wilson once said, and I'm going to paraphrase here, that if people disappeared, the planet would quickly return to a state of normalcy. But if the invertebrates were to disappear, if insects were to disappear, life as we know on this planet would disappear altogether. So it'd be a complete different shift on what we're seeing. So what's the good news? The good news is we have people like those who work for Butterfly Pavilion and our allies. We have people out there doing work to conserve pollinators and other insects around the world. And indeed, we are working all over the world. As Patrick mentioned, we're working in places, far-flung places, even Mongolia, even Saudi Arabia, even Costa Rica. I mean, not Costa Rica, even Turks and Caicos. Places that you might not have thought that Butterfly Pavilion is working. Tanzania. Lorna works in Tanzania on really interesting work to help pollinators and to mitigate human-elephant conflicts. We work right here in Colorado. We create habitat for pollinators through a lot of the initiatives that Amy's involved with. We also work on monitoring butterfly populations through our Butterfly Monitoring Network project, which kind of tracks changes in butterfly populations and distributions across the state. We're working with industry in very new and innovative ways to create pollinator habitat. So we're working with oil and gas, something we're very proud of, to mitigate to restore old mine sites, for example. When they leave that site, instead of planting things like smooth brome and crested wheatgrass, which are basically biological deserts for invertebrates, we're putting in pollinator habitats. And we're very thankful for the allies we have in the gas and oil industry. We're also working with developers on creating pollinator districts, similar to the one that Patrick mentioned at Manitou Springs. These pollinator districts are pollinator friendly. They remove a lot of the bluegrass we have, a lot of the, again, what are really biological deserts for invertebrates, and they replace them with pollinator friendly habitats that are connected across the landscape so that pollinators can again thrive. And I'm happy to say that our new home in Broomfield is going to be a spot where we're going to have a pollinator district that's already been established. And that area has already seen an increase in pollinator numbers that maybe Amy will talk about. But we've seen the resurgence of pollinators, things like bumblebees and butterflies that we didn't see because we started this work before we created the pollinator district. We're starting to see a lot of resurgence of critters. So we're doing a lot, and we invite you to join us on this journey forward. I want to introduce Amy Yarger, who's our Director of Horticulture, who's going to come up and talk next about some of the work you can do and about some of the work that's associated with our PACE initiative. So thanks again so much for coming, and I look forward to the comments that First Gentleman has soon.
Thank you, Rich. Welcome, everybody, and good morning. I'm just so pleased to be here today to tell you more about pollinators, because when I hear the term VIP, I don't think very important person. I think very important pollinator. And the reason for that, as both Rich and Patrick have said just a few minutes ago, that pollinators are foundational to our way of life and to most of the things that we value here in Colorado. So when we think of those mountain meadows and those prairies and those beautiful waterways, our rivers and creeks, we wouldn't have those ecosystems and all the services that they provide without our insect pollinators. Over 3/4 of flowering plants rely on insect pollinators to reproduce. So if we want that plant diversity, which does so much for us, we need those pollinators. And then, of course, Rich did mention that 1 out of every 3 bites of food comes to us via animal pollination. And, of course, it is the best bites, as I like to say. But more than that, when we see a decline in pollinators, that's an indication that something isn't right. They can be very valuable ecological indicators for us. And then we can't discount the fact that people like pollinators more than they like a lot of other invertebrates. When I go to somebody and say, oh, plant a pollinator garden, people are in favor. If I went to them and said, oh, we need to plant a worm garden or a slug garden, that might be a harder sell. So we never discount just the pure natural ambassadorship that pollinators give us. And Butterfly Pavilion has really been in the forefront of leading these programs to increase pollinator habitat, both here in Colorado and around the world. And what I'm really excited about is this reintroduction of our PACE initiative. Again, pollinator awareness through conservation and education. This is really a way that not only is Butterfly Pavilion leading through research and conservation and through education, but inviting everyone to be a part of the solution, because not everyone is ever going to see a polar bear or a whale, but I guarantee all of us have had our lives touched by pollinators, and everyone can see the impact that we can make. As a good friend of mine likes to say, if you plant it, they will come. At Baseline, our pollinator district in Broomfield and Butterfly Pavilion's future home, as Rich alluded to, we have seen significant increases. A place that did not have bumblebees before now has 4 species of bumblebees. A place that did not have butterflies before now has a handful of species of butterflies. It just goes to show that in a short amount of time, you can see that positive impact. And that's a message we want to send through PACE. We want to engage millions of people in really creating momentum and to empower people to be part of the solution. And I just did a pun, and I really hate myself for it. So some of the things that all of us can do, whether it's planting a garden, even if you live in a small space, putting a few flower pots out there can make an impact. You can tell your friends and families about opportunities to get involved. You can be a community scientist and record data that is very valuable to scientists throughout the country. So there are all these great ways to get involved. And for the next 2 months, Butterfly Pavilion will be celebrating pollinators, their habitats, and the ways that people can make a difference through our Pollinator Palooza celebration. Throughout the 2 months, there will be a number of amazing programs and events and opportunities to do amazing things for pollinators and for people. And then it will culminate in a big celebration at the end of June, June 25th. And then, of course, today we are going to open our new Pollinator Place as a part of that pollinator celebration. So with that, I am going to hand it back over to Patrick. Thank you very much.
Great job, Amy, and thank you for all that insight. It's now my honor and privilege to welcome Congresswoman Brittany Patterson.
Hi, everyone. everybody. It is wonderful to be with you here today to celebrate the amazing work that everybody here, the entire team, is doing to bring awareness around the importance of our invertebrates and the conservation efforts that they're undertaking in ways that we can not only support their work here, but what we can do at home to ensure that we can be part of the solution. I also brought my kid here. He was a little antsy. I apologize for the noise in the background. But this is one of his favorite places to come and play and learn. And my message, I guess, to all the families in the community is become a member, support the work of the Butterfly Pavilion, and also help raise kids that are aware of the problems that we're facing here across the globe and what we can do together to make an impact. When I think about the challenges that we're facing, having a 3-year-old son and what his future looks like, it can be incredibly overwhelming. But it's people like all of you who inspire me to believe that we're going to rise to the occasion and meet this moment. I hope. But I just really appreciate everybody here, the work you're doing every day. I hope that people across Colorado will come and visit, bring your kids to the Butterfly Pavilion. As I said, this is my son's favorite place, and it's wonderful to be here. Also alongside the first gentleman, Marlon Reis, who is, it's very obvious, his passion for all living things from his, I watch his Facebook posts every day if you haven't followed him already. He posts every morning and night about the amazing creatures across the world in trying to bring awareness around the importance of conserving and protecting living species across the globe. And so it's so wonderful to be here with you today, Marlon. And with that, if you could please help me in welcoming the first gentleman.
Thank you so much for that, Congresswoman Pedersen. How lucky are we to have Congresswoman Pedersen in Washington fighting the good fight every day? It is a great pleasure to be with you all here today on this really momentous occasion. And I want to thank everybody who's spoken, Amy, Dr. Reading, Patrick. The work that you guys do is just extraordinarily inspiring. And to follow up on something that Congresswoman Pedersen said, the beauty of this work is that we can all contribute. We can all do something. It doesn't require being an elected official or being in government or being part of a business. We can all do something that touches all of our lives. And so, caring for the natural world has always been one of my greatest passions. Partly because I'm just dazzled by it. Every day when I wake up, I can't wait to go outside. I can't wait to see the incredible diversity of plants and animals, often that we have even in our cities. You don't need to go into the mountains. You can be amazed by squirrels in the park or bees that are pollinating flowers. And it truly has been the honor of my lifetime to be able to serve in the capacity of First Gentleman and to advocate for these issues in the governor's office. Recently, as some of you might know, I joined the Butterfly Pavilion as the honorary chair of the Butterfly Pavilion board, and that has meant so much to me because as some of you know, as Brittany, you mentioned, I love sharing photographs and information about some of the extraordinary animals that we have in our world. And so often we gloss over the little guys, the ones who really are the glue holding everything together. As Dr. Reading said, without them, there is no us. So I am so proud to be part of the ecosystem saving work and to be able to promote PACE, the PACE initiative, which I know we've mentioned a couple of times, acronyms always throw me for a loop, so I just want to mention again, pollinator awareness through conservation and education, which is so important, once again, to reverse the pollinator and invertebrate apocalypse that Dr. Reading mentioned. PACE has a number of primary objectives to get us where we need to be. Butterfly Pavilion is building a decentralized network of concerned corporations and community members to take action for pollinator conservation by building infrastructure to connect and incentivize pollinator positive behaviors. And I like to think of this sort of as the equivalent of wildlife crossings. We all know about the importance of building wildlife crossings and habitat connectivity to ensure that animals can get from A to B, where they need to go. And creating pollinator-friendly places and including pollinators in our urban planning is so important. A big part of this work includes building state, national, and a worldwide network of research and experts focused on translating scientific findings into real-world actions on behalf of these life-giving species, which means that we don't just talk about it, we do it. This groundbreaking work will help more people understand just how important pollinators and invertebrates are and what we can all do as individuals and as communities to support them. So just a few interesting facts. I find these extraordinary, inspiring, but they also give a sense of urgency to this work. There are more than 200,000 species of pollinators in the world. Pollinators include butterflies, bees, bats, hummingbirds, flies. I actually learned recently flies, which usually people are not inclined to have a favorable opinion of, but they're important. Every animal has a role to play. They're all truly essential in their respective ecosystems. In Colorado, here at home, we are actually home to 946 native bee species, which puts us in 5th place for states with the greatest bee diversity. A UN report found that almost 90% of wild plants and 75% of all food crops need animal pollinators to some extent. But to drive this home just a little bit more, the world relies on just 100 crops to provide 90% of the world's food. And of those 100 crops, pollinators are necessary for 71 of them. So for the next 2 months, Butterfly Pavilion's Pollinator Palooza, which is a name I love, is going to be fun, educational. There will be events planned for everyone to help get involved, and in PACE to learn more about how to support pollinators, not just on the global scale, but at home, in our gardens, in our cities, how to advocate to our government officials and bring forward bills and policies that will help us tackle this major challenge. So it's going to take every single Coloradan here across the state and concerned members around the world to turn this from a message into action. The time for talking has definitely ended. Science has shown us for decades, and I'm so pleased that the Butterfly Pavilion has been involved in this important work of communicating in a way that really resonates with people the importance of this mission. So I want to encourage everybody to sign up at butterflies.org to learn more about Butterfly Pavilion and how we'll be building the infrastructure to support and incentivize the pollinator positive behaviors that all life, not just ours, but all life so absolutely depends upon. It goes without saying, it is a pleasure to be here with you all today on such a momentous occasion. I'm very excited to be part of this work and to be joined by such esteemed colleagues. I have some family of my own here today, my son, my cousins, and so I wish you all a great day, and I can't wait to see what we have in store.
All right, no running with scissors. So it's now time to cut the ribbon and introduce a Pollinator Place to everybody. So invite Congresswoman.
Oh, really?
Yes, please. And Marlon, would you please?
All right.
Yeah.
These things are scary.
Okay.
David!
They're real.
Okay, you have it?
I'll take the top.
Okay.
David, come here! Wait. All right, ready? 1, 2.
Big scissors.
It's got such great hair.
We'd like now to welcome everybody to visit Pollinator Place and see our amazing pollinators. Enjoy. Thanks for coming.